friends, this is Gosia from Cosmic Agency. How are you doing? This is another video where I will address just a little bit the recent video that I made about our, where I announced that we are back in contact with the Taygetans, and where it was considered by Swaruu that perhaps new information is not really necessary to be given, even though it is being given, and I am pretty sure it will continue to be given for a while. She said everything is as it should be, and the earth is as it should be, and there is no need to impose anything. And you know, this video we made with Robert has caused quite a stir in the Spanish world. People took this quite emotionally, even though we have been explaining to them for months how Swaruu thinks and how holographically she perceives things. Holographically meaning all at the same time, and including and integrating all the perspectives at the same time. Still, people were quite emotional, and you know, because I understand we want the assistance. We see the suffering that is happening here. We definitely don't see how this is how it should be and how this is correct. However, and this is where it goes, it's not that Swaruu believes it is correct. Within the framework of this incarnation in progress, we are supposed to be fighting for what we believe is correct for our frame of values. And so she is the warrior, not the warrior with arms, not the military kind of a warrior, but the warrior of consciousness and warrior of knowledge and of mind. Enlightenment warrior. She is liberating the minds of the people, of the inhabitants of the earth. So I just want to clarify this, that just because she mentioned that everything is as it should be, because this is how it is seen from all the other angles of our multidimensionality, this doesn't contradict the fact that she is doing her best, and they are doing their best in order to combat the cabal and the matrix, and so are we with this information. These seemingly contradicting views are not really contradiction. You can integrate them all as one, and you can fight, but also understand that there is order in everything, and everything will be eventually okay. Everything is, because there is no time, there is no future, there is no presence, as I will explain a little bit more here. So on the topic of this imposition, if giving knowledge to us and assisting is imposition or not, I have actually written a short some sentences, a few paragraphs for Swaruu and for Aneka, and I want to read it to you, because I know that some other races could be listening, could be watching, and I want to encourage them to get involved more, to assist, and to reassure them that from our perspective it is not imposition, and it is not necessarily imposition even when viewing from our higher dimensions. So let me read this. These are my arguments for all of you ET races who are perhaps still on the edge, on the border somewhere there, help or not help, how much to help. There are many arguments why I believe we should be helped, but these are just some that occurred to me, and this is what I shared with Swaruu just 2 days ago. So this is what I told her. I'm gonna read this. Swaruu, we have been a match, a frequency match to this disclosure given by you, and being so, this forms a part of what should be, with everything being as it should be. Just because it is an assistance from the extraterrestrials doesn't make it something that should be not. All is inclusive, holographic, so it does include receiving alternatives and options. Imposition would be doing something by force. This is not. People, those who do, want this knowledge and assistance, and perhaps it is a part of their higher self will and program to experience receiving assistance and knowledge at this time? We cannot know that. Or rather, I think we do, since you appearing in their reality is a proof of that. Nothing happens without it being a match to something. Your presence is an indication of you being a match to their minds and their will. They are a match to posing questions, so they are a match to receiving answers. And they will still have the free will to accept or not. This last sentence, actually, to be fully fair, I saw it in the comments. One of you actually said that we are a match to posing questions, so we are a match to receiving answers. So thank you for that. I don't quite remember who said that. This continues. Thinking that giving information and knowledge and assistance is an imposition, this in itself could be viewed as a 7D angle imposition, because the soul being here in 3D is here, perhaps, among other experiences, to ask for assistance and to look outside of itself, in this case to you, to have the forgotten knowledge activated. And the soul, from the higher level, knew this too before incarnating, that it would reach the point of being a match to the assistance given. It accepted coming down to 3D with the view of reaching the point of being a match to the assistance being provided. It had to know, since there is no time, no future, no present. So the part of the mind, the one that dictates the assistance and disclosure is imposition, the part of this mind must respect this plan now. The plan being 3D fractals experiencing being given the alternative to their fractals matrixed realities and their illusory sense of realness of this 3D world. If all is as it should be, this consequently must and should apply to the disclosure of information and assistance being given, by the very token of the information and assistance that you have given so far. You have been giving information, and as a race, you have been assisting. This did not manifest outside of the will and the minds of the very people inside 3D. Everything and everyone is connected. So you responding to our call, giving information and assisting, is tightly linked with the 3D people's souls and their inner agreement to it. Hence, no imposition. This doesn't mean you are here to save the people or tell them what to do in a forceful manner. As the external authority, we are only speaking of giving them the alternative view so they, the souls, those that want to, can choose themselves how to proceed. Swaruu, I'm speaking to her. You said, Swaruu, starseeds know what they are doing. And for that precise reason, we must trust that this disclosure through you is exactly a part of their planning and of their own manifesting. You have been a match to it, and there is a deep reason for that, as for everything else. So this is what I told her, and she basically said, yes, for sure, these arguments are very, very valid, and these reasons are actually the ones that make us want to continue to be here. They are there in the orbit still because of those reasons, because they also believe in this. If not, they would just disappear. They would not be here. They would be on the beaches in Temer or Era somewhere. They would not be sticking around to continue to fight the Cabal. So yes, everything is as it should be, but the fight against the Matrix is still valid. The Taygetans are even, I would say, the most, I don't know exactly the other races, how much they are involved, to what extent, but from what I see, from what I understand, the Taygetans are on the forefront of the involvement and participation of these efforts against the Cabal, helping us. There are many races, and there are so many thousands of races in the universe. Actually, we are just talking now these days about different types of races. I'm gonna make this video sometime down the road. There are I think there are 400,000 races, And the majority of them are not involved in any way. They are not assisting in any way. They are silent. Some of them don't even want to be known. They don't want their presence to be known. They don't want anybody to know of their existence. They don't want their names to be discovered. So, you know, the Taygetans are doing so much, even though they are doing most of this behind the curtains. And some of these races would not even want to see 3D evaporated because they would lose their opportunity and the experience of the 3D virtual reality. As I said some time ago, this is our 3D body, temporary avatar suit that we have, through which all these different races can experience to be here and to have the simulation reality experience. So some of them don't want to lose that, and so, you know, in that way, trying to dissolve the matrix and the 3D would go against their wishes and our soul's wishes if we come from those races, because they do have their starseeds here as well. So Taygetans, in summary, they are doing a lot. Just because Swaruu is saying everything is as it should be, it doesn't in any way mean that she wants to just give up the fight and not fight anymore. Actually, this is not something new. This all is as it should be. She has always had this philosophy. She has always believed this to be true. And we have to remember that she is such a highly evolved being that comes from and has experienced all these different densities, dimensions, world. She has experienced and jumped so many timelines and versions of the Earth. She has seen the Earth from all different perspectives and different times, future, present, and the past. She has seen how all the timelines just intertwine and change and flow, how all this is so moldable and fluid, and all these worlds happen simultaneously. So all these experiences and all these adventures across the galaxy and the universe has allowed her to have this view. So from that perspective, she really sees that everything is as it should be, and everything will work itself out. Having said that, she still fights. You know, she's the warrior. As I said, not with laser and arms. She's a peaceful warrior. She tries to liberate the minds, because in the minds is the clue and is the key to reprogramming the matrix and reformatting our reality from out of 3D into something higher. It's kind of like, you know, having a body and knowing that we are not the body. So if we say, yes, this is not really me, this is my body, but I am not my body, I am more than this. This doesn't mean that, you know, at this point we are abandoning to take care of our body and we are abandoning the needs of the body. Of course not. Just because we are so much more and we are immortal beyond the corporal existence doesn't mean that while we are in this existence we are supposed to not attend to our bodily functions and needs and not take care of it. So it's the same here. It's the same with this whole everything is as it should be thing. Remember, they very often integrate two or even more contrasting points as being one, as being valid. Okay, this is the holographic 5D mind. It's just us that see everything as black or white, you know, left or right. I also want to read you a part of the conversation that we had 2 days ago, where we shared with Swaruu the reaction of the people, how, you know, they get a bit emotional and they misinterpreted this whole everything as it should be. You know, people saw this as Swaruu, you know, not being willing to assist anymore the humanity, and it's not the case at all. This is her response. This is what she said. I'm going to now read from Spanish. Yes, it is to be expected. They will not agree, and I am agreeing with them not agreeing. But two of these realities are true. The world is as it should be, and at the same time, it is unjust, with everything that this word unjust entails. One thing doesn't contradict with the other one. It only does in a human mind, because the human mind is too focused in a deterministic thinking, in the mode of the victims, and in the mode that someone out there is there to save us, to save you. Of course that they are victims. No one denies that they are victims. The question now is, what will they do with regards to that? To impose the idea that they are not the victims, that would be irresponsible and cruel. They are. But that is not the whole story. It is not all that is happening. You can also see this from the perspective of that everything will be fine eventually at the end. And at the end, I don't mean at the end of the world, I mean at the end, in a way, of the experience of each person, even though there is no end. The world has never had a beginning or ending. These are human concepts viewed only from the perspective of the finite existence, from the perspective of the 3D person. The world has always been this way, as it is. It has always had the same problems, and it will always have them. This also means that the past, the present, and the future, everything is linked and intertwined as threads in a piece of fabric where everything happens at the same time. The sequence of the linear events that humans understand as time is only the animation from their perspective, and it is personal and unique for each person. So our consciousness are animating a certain thread in a fabric, and that's where we are focused. That's what we are projecting into experiencing with our consciousness. So, in a way, looking in that perspective, there is nothing to solve as far as problems of the world go. The problems and the solution are happening at the same time. The 3D Earth, the prison Earth, and the liberated Earth are happening at the same time. What animates each timeline is the focus of the consciousness, are the people themselves. That's why, to change the world, nothing should be imposed or forced from the outside. It has to be worked from the inside of the person. This is how you change the world. And we talked about this before, about how to reprogram the matrix, how our consciousness generates and reformats and changes the operation of the matrix and adjusts the matrix settings. So our focus, our intention, our energy and consciousness is so important. And this kind of links with the whole subject of the liberation of the earth. 2 days ago I had this conversation with Robert, and I asked Swaruu about the liberation of the earth, the Cabal. How is the situation? At which point are we in this whole process of liberation of the earth? Now listen to this, but patiently, because it will be understood a little later. The liberation of the earth is not seen as an objective, even though the people will not like what I said, but it is what I have already mentioned. The earth is as it should be, but that's why we have returned the attack ships home. Here they will not be used. I say, so what is the objective at the moment? There is no specific objective as such. I just want you to understand why it is not necessary to have an objective of this nature. It is not necessary, or it doesn't make sense to impose, enforce things on earth in order to liberate it. That is the mentality, the same mentality as the USA liberating Iraq. We don't have the rights to impose this way. We have talked about this. It is not necessary to combat the Cabal on the same terms and using the same methods. We are not going to play their game. So I asked, okay, so in what way, what's the tactic right now? And this is important here. To destabilize and guide from the inside, where no one will ever see our participation, our hand. The changes have to be internal. Yes, they are doing a lot of destabilization of the inside. Yes, not much can be mentioned by me at this moment about this, but they are participating and involved very much in this process, changing things from the inside. So I ask her, so how do you see the situation right now? At which point are we? And she says, one more time, it's not a matter of the point as if it was some kind of a date or some kind of a progress for everybody. It is relative to each person and it is very complex. But there are the calculations, there are some calculations done, it's not definite, but there are calculations that are indicating that the critical mass has been reached. The critical mass of the awakened people. It means that the more than the half of the real people on Earth have woken up. And with this means they will change the reality. They will tip over the reality. Because it is the real people, the ones who manifest the reality, and for everybody else. This is the closest I can reach to comment on your question about at which point are we. So this is good news. This is very interesting. Remember, it's the real people who are manifesting the reality for the rest. That's why it's so important for the cabal and for the manipulators to be influencing us, the real people, with the incorrect ideas, fears, negativity, and all kinds of erroneous data. So we keep manifesting the erroneous reality for ourselves and for the rest. Erroneous, of course. Now, looking from the higher perspective, is there such a thing as erroneous? Well, let's say there is from here. So now I asked Swaruu, so what does this mean now that we have reached the critical mass? What does it mean? What does it mean? She says, it means that there is no return. It is already too late for the cabal. And here Robert has asked, and what factors, what elements have made it, have contributed to the reaching of this critical mass? She says it's the mixed group unified work of all the starseeds, even though strictly speaking all the real people are the starseeds. This includes your work and even the ones who have gone against you, who have attacked you. So now the question is posed by Robert, this critical mass, is it dispersed all over the world? Is it concentrated just at one location? And she says it is all over the world. It means that the whole humanity as a whole is taken into consideration. It is not something localized. It's a critical planetary mass. However, and this is important because I asked, what about, for example, Middle East and countries like that where there are a lot of wars? I don't see a lot of high frequency there. And she says the critical mass doesn't equal high frequency. High frequency. It just simply means in the beginning that people are waking up and they know what's happening. They are becoming aware of what's going on. This later will translate gradually into the raising of their frequency. But first, it says awaken the knowledge, awaken the consciousness, know yourself to be immortal, to be something more, and know that everything is a programmed game. Be aware of the hologram, reality, simulation. Know that you transcend the death. Know that you are under the mental control and not believe the controllers, not believe what you see on the media. For example, so all this forms part of the awakening of the people, and with that later, naturally and gradually, there is raising of the frequency. Well, this is good news. This is very interesting. I really, well, I cannot say I hope this to be true. I believe her. So if she's saying this is what the calculations state, however, these are not their calculation from what I understand. Also, so there could be some adjustments to these calculations later on. Perhaps we will revisit the subject. So having said everything that I said, everything is good. Just keep remembering that, you know, the holographic mind means to be able to hold two seemingly opposing views as one. And here it relates to everything is as it should be, but at the same time, fighting for what you think and believe and feel is correct is a valid path. So into the 5D. This is one of the 5D characteristics. So thank you very much for watching. The next video will be about soul. I announced this some time ago, but then this happened. And but next video will be about soul, and many more videos to come. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your presence and company. Welcome to all the new viewers. By the way, share the videos that you like anywhere on the social media, anywhere you want, because what I'm hearing from Robert is that they are censoring and not recommending the videos of these topics in the recommendation boxes. So they just go there disappearing somewhere. But anyway, I still believe that everything is as it should be, and whoever is a match to this information, they will find it. So no stress. Thank you again. See you in the next video.